What's up, everyone? Today we have a Arlene's little tiller here. It's a interesting little unit. It has a Predator 96, 110. I don't know. It's a smaller Predator engine on it, and it smokes. It smokes very badly. So what we are going to do is we're going to try to figure out why. I kind of have a feeling the engine's just bad, but you know, you never know. I just pulled on it, and that's how I kind of tell. I think it barely has enough compression to really even run. I would turn it on, but it literally pumps out some smoke. Like, it will smoke us out in a couple seconds. So just imagine what you're seeing now, except with a whole lot more smoke. Having said that, I smelled the oil. It's pretty nasty. It kind of smells like there could be gasoline in it. And it's very like the viscosity is very, very low or high. I don't know. It's very watery, I'll just put it that way. So I think that could be a problem. You know, we'll take a look. I'm also going to look at the crankcase vent to make sure that it's not being obstructed, because that could also be a problem. If all that is done and we're still having problems, I'm pretty sure it's going to be an engine. At that point in time, we'll take the next step. Let's see if changing the oil and letting it run for a bit helps it at all. Due to the fact that it's a rototiller and there's like 12 ounces of oil maybe in here, I'm just going to pump it out. I already put this on my table, so I don't really want to deal with tipping it over. From the looks of it, might have to, huh? Okay, this is a lot easier when you're not here. I'm just going to change the oil and then we'll put new oil in. To say this thing uses a shockingly low amount of oil is an understatement. I didn't even fill it up that much and it started to overflow. So it got a little oily. Luckily though, very little got on anything that was of any importance except for this little bit right here. So I just want to make sure the belt wasn't drenched, and it's not. So that's unfortunate. Like I said, it will smoke, so I say we are going to turn it on. Like half throttle. Choke is on. We're just gonna have the exhaust face outside. So it ran for a good like 5 or 10 minutes, and the smoke definitely was bad. Then it got really good. Then it got a little worse, but then it became just kind of okay and slowly triggered or went down to pretty minimal. And if you look at it right now, it's still smoking. That's usually a sign there's a whole lot of oil in that exhaust. So what I'm hoping for is this. At one point in time, the carb flooded over. I know that sounds weird why I'm hoping for that, but hear me out. hoping the carb flooded over. Gas went into the crankcase because the valve was open, and then made the oil too thin. Now we, at one point, used it, because he said he used it for a decent amount of time before you just couldn't do it anymore, and brought it to me. So I'm hoping that with the engine oil good to go, I'm just burning off the excess that was shoved in the exhaust and the pretty much everywhere, just mainly in the exhaust, some in the cylinder head obviously, but I'm gonna let this run outside because even with the door open it's still kind of smoky in here. Here's the deduction. The deduction is it didn't really stop smoking, which is unfortunate. And I was looking around trying to see if I had another motor, and I do, but this has a 5/8 shaft. It's pretty small. I have 5/8 shaft engines, except they're older, like very old, like stuff I'm going to take the time and clean and paint and restore, so that's not going to happen. What did happen, however, though, is this. I went to go check the oil, and it was flooded over again, except this time there was too much. And it did kind of smell like fuel again. So I'm thinking I'm going to, this time, take the drain plug out, tip it over, excuse me, get as much of it as I can out, because right now it's warm. In fact, I'm probably going to do that right after I take the carb off. And then, at that point, let it sit there for as long as I can, let it drain out. Put the oil back in after the carb is clean, and then go from there. Because, I don't know, it shouldn't be this diluted this quickly. And I know I didn't get all of it out because of how I just suctioned it out with a pump, but there's no way it should be that runny this quickly. So there's a problem. I think this comes off. Yeah, it does. Okay. So let us take off the carb. Let's see what we have here. And I checked to see if there was a obstruction, but I mean, it's literally just this. I don't really see there being a possibility of an obstruction. So let us take a pair of vice grips, maybe not so tight, so we don't crush the fuel line. Obviously this is not the factory fuel line because it doesn't even have a clip on it. So this has been worked on before. I'll put a clip on it. Yeah, that oil I'm seeing drip down on the side is very watery. So there's definitely a dilution problem here. Maybe the carb is flooding over. That looks like a homemade gasket. Yeah, that is a homemade gasket if I ever saw one. I mean, they did a fairly decent job, don't get me wrong, but it's too small. Not much, but it's too small. Wait, there's already a gasket behind here. Could this be a factory gasket? No, it can't be a factory gasket. I mean, look at this nonsense. I don't know what that is, but it definitely looks chunky, like chunked out chunk. There's also one behind it. The spacer here. Maybe they had a surging problem. Oh yeah, that's definitely not the standard gasket either. So something tells me there's definitely a carburetor issue going on here. That gasket, however, looks to be okay. I don't think I'm going to worry too much about that one. It's doing its job. So let's clean the carb and take a look at it. That oil was insanely watery as soon as I poured it out. In fact, I'm just going to take a look. Yeah. When it's completed, we will take a look at it together. But it's warm now, so the oil should be a little bit more viscous. Or, yeah. So, what we're going to do is take it from here. I know it runs. This is weird. This is exactly the same carb as the little 2-cycle generator I just worked on. How many cc's was that? 63? Could this be a 63 cc engine? Granted, that was a 2-cycle though, so it's a little bit different. Probably is the exact same one, just a little bit of a jet size. Where is the jet? It's a jet right here. That can't be the jet, right? Am I missing something? Oh, okay, the jet must be right there. Okay. That was scary. Well, actually, no, that would have been good because that would be the reason why. But the weird thing is, it wasn't like black smoke everywhere when I was cleaning it or when I was running it, so it was odd. They got even cheaper with the engine. Excuse me, I apologize if I keep coughing. Apparently, after 2 years, I finally caught the Rona. So far, it's not bad, just a whole lot of coughing. And it's not even like hacking cough either, it's these gentle little coughs, so I'm okay with that so far. But, you know, it's not gone, so who knows. You know what I'm going to do as well? I'm going to take the other side of that Q-tip, which looks to still be clean. And I'm going to put it back in the drill. And I'm going to get some valve grinding compound. Just a dab. If I could find valve grinding compound. Here we go. I want to clean this surface very thoroughly. Practically want a new surface. There we go. So just a dab. Let's put it in. And we'll clean it all out later. Okay, that should be pretty good. Now we're going to take out this rubber seal here, because carb cleaner, I'm not 100% sure if the non-chlorinated carb cleaner will do the same thing, but I'm not really wanting to test it out right now. If you haven't purchased some of this, I would. If you ever do any welding, this stuff is good for a cleaner too. Welding over chlorinated cleaner is a hazard. It creates a gas. I forget what it's exactly called, but it's horrible. And I would imagine you're probably getting close to that point when using it as a starting fluid as well. So I pretty much completely switched over. There's a temperature, I know, but I don't remember how much it is. And here's the thing. If you're going to be using it anyway, this stuff really isn't all that much more expensive. It usually comes in a bigger can for whatever reason. In the off chance one day you do have, they find out that burning it will cause this type of gas to be released, you're doing this chilling in your garage watching P&W videos, I would rather you not. Just let all of us be safe and just switch over. Oddly enough, I think it actually does a better job too. Definitely has a different smell. It's not like that fake cleaner that's non-flammable. I'm just joking. It's flammable too, but CRC cleaner that threw me for a loop one day. I was wondering why I wasn't starting. I was checking spark, everything, and then you glance over at the can, non-flammable. Like, huh? Who would have guessed? The needle looked fine. It's a rubber tip needle in a way. So I'm not too worried about it. So we're gonna boil in this and see if we hear anything. I blew pretty hard in there. Granted, like I said, my current condition, however, it seems to be fine. I'm going to put this back on the machine, put some oil in there. We will give this another go. Let's try it again. Oh, it's off. Bad news. It's still smoking. It's not the oil. Well, it is the oil, but it's the motor is just worn. So we're not going to get anywhere with this. I think it's just lack of lubrication over time. Who knows? There's a lot of different reasons. So we're not even going to bother because Predator engines are cheap and there's no real point. And it's really hard to find the rings and stuff for it anyway. Next to impossible because they're cheap. So I called the dude and I was like, hey, you have a problem. I can either, one, go buy this exact same thing at Harbor Freight. It's like 80, 90 bucks, something like that. I called around and there's like one that's like an hour away. Of course, the two other ones that are closer to me are definitely not available at that time, but the other one is, so that's fine. Or I could put that 5-horse Briggs on there with the wrong pulley because the shaft size is different. That's a 5/8 and the Briggs has a 3/4, so that pulley's not going to fit. Told him we could either do that or buy the motor. He chose the second one. Now, the problem is, one, it's going to be a little bit more power. It's not going to be that big of an issue. I don't really suspect it's going to be horrible. I mean, the Tines look pretty heavy duty enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the engine speed a little bit to kind of compensate for it. In addition to that, the belt might also be too long because the pulley is smaller. I don't know. We'll have to look it up. If anything, we just buy a new belt. That's a lot easier. And the belt is a little worn as it is, so who knows. We might be able to just tension it more with the handle, just kind of change the linkage on the chain, but we're going down the rabbit hole now. So what we're going to do now is there are, it's mounted somehow. We'll have to figure out how it's mounted. I don't see immediately how it is. It might just be two on the other side. I don't know. So it is mounted in 4 different places, but the bolts are on the bottom. That's interesting. Oh, maybe it's only 3. Yeah, it's only 3. Never mind. So there's 2 on the other side. I'm gonna do the exact same thing. We'll take this off. Okay, let's see what we have here. Take this belt off. Leave that off to the side. And technically, there's nothing holding it on. There's no cable. There's no nothing. Should just lift right off. And it does. Wow, that's nice and light. Okay, we have some funkery going on here. Wow. Okay, now let's see if the 5-horse is going to mount directly on there, or we're going to have to funkify this even more. We'll clean it, of course. These 2 holes line up just right. The belt seems to line up almost perfect, or the pulleys line up perfect with the pulley on the bottom for the drive gear. I think that also lines up just right. So I'm going to find 4 bolts that will go there. I'm going to take this off and clean it, of course. And then I'm going to just, simple, just put the bolt down, nut on the bottom. That's it. Not rocket science. And then we will put this down. I don't know if this engine runs still. It's been a while, so we might have to do a little work to it, but if we need to, we need to. New engine's on. Took the air filter off to make it easier in case we need to work on the carb. I don't know if I'll film that because I've done 1,000 of these 5-horse Briggs carbs. I'm not going to worry about it. Just in case, though. Let's do that. And it does have fuel. It's a tad low, but not too low. Yeah, let's put a little extra fuel in there just in case. You know what? I'm going to recycle this good fuel from a bad tank. If you ever want to see how to do this, take a fuel filter, put it into the fuel line, and then we'll just take the good fuel from the bad tank, which is right here. I need to use up anyway before it goes bad, and we'll just put it in here. 2 or 3 inches from the bottom now. We'll just go like a third of a tank, which is almost right now. Okay. Put this away for later. Now, with this style of carburetor, you might have to pull on it quite a few times because it has to fill a bowl in the tank on the top of the tank. So if it doesn't start on the first or second pull, don't be alarmed. If it doesn't start on the 6th or 7th though, be alarmed. It's on choke, full throttle. Take it off choke and give it a little assistance. Just a little. A little too much, that is. Well, it runs, so that's good. Bad news is we have a carb problem. One thing to go over with this engine too, forgot about, is I didn't count for the fact that the crank is a whole lot taller on this, up from the actual pulley for the transmission. So the belt was too tight. In fact, it was so tight it was like pretty much the same tension you would have while under tension before. That's not good. So I found a new belt. Problem is it might be like 3/4 to an inch too long. So might have to adjust the pulley or the idler and see, because it does have a little bit of adjustment. In fact, it has a lot of adjustment. So we might move it a little bit to make sure that we have enough tension and the belt isn't slipping. In addition to that, because of the smaller pulley, I'm probably going to limit the RPM on this engine. One clean carb later, hopefully we're good to go. Now, to make it a little easier on myself, I pre-filled the little bowl I was talking about on the carb. If you haven't seen that video, find anything on mine, you'll see it before. In fact, I think even this engine, because I've had this for a while, I'm pretty sure it's on there. Anyway, I don't know the tune of it. I just took out the tuning needle or screw, and I took it out to like 1.5. So it might be rich, might be lean. I'm thinking it's rich, but we'll find out. Fast. Turn the choke on. Turn the choke off. Well, that's no good. Why is it being difficult like that? Let's take off the air filter. And we'll give it a little help again. No choke. I shouldn't have to do this, by the way. Unless it's too lean. Let's see. Now this turnout. Try choke. Try the helper. Air filter on. Trying it again. No choke. I'm going to slip the belt on and we'll give that a try. Put the belt on, adjusted the pulley to like the middle, and right now it's loose. When you put on it, it's nice and tight. So not too worried about that whatsoever. I did lower the speed a little bit, just kind of bent the arm on the carb so it gets obstructed. Well, run, let's do like half and then we'll see if we need to choke it. The belt slipped. Let's try this again. Not really sure how that worked out. Yeah. There we go. I think I need to tighten. Yeah. Need to tighten this piece. Oh yeah. let's go ahead and do that real quick. That way we don't have to worry about this nonsense again. Try this again. Yeah, that should be good to go. I think we are set. So I'm gonna let this run a little bit just to make sure. Get the oil a little warmer. Change the oil. How's the new filter? Plug is good. And this should be fine. So what did we learn today? We learned that a tiny little 96 or 99 or whatever cc Predator engine, if it's smoking, more likely than not, you're going to be needing a new one. Try to fix it. No, it wasn't the carb, unfortunately. It wasn't overfilled. But this little 5-horse will be good. It's heavier, makes it digging easier. So even with a wrong size pulley, I think we're going to be fine. I'm going to go test it out probably another week or two. Oh wait, no, he's coming over tomorrow. I'll probably have to do it later tonight. But anyway, if it has any problems, bring it back. But other than that, I think we're set. So if you have any questions, or if you have Arlene's little tiller like this, front tine, that you have an engine swap you need to do, and you're trying to find a smaller 5/8 shaft, you know, this might be a good alternative. I think it will be good, more power. It's always a good thing. Okay, catch me in the next video. Have a good night. See you later. Subscribe. Follow me on Small Engine 101 on Instagram. See you tomorrow.